As we proceed through this program, please have your copy of the ICC International Zoning Code and the ICC Basic Code Enforcement Handbook, as well as a highlighter available. To review, a zone can be defined as an area or district in a city or town under special restrictions to the type of buildings that may be erected. The International Zoning Code provides the following basic primary use districts: agricultural zone, A, 3 divisions; residential zone, R, 3 divisions; commercial zone, C, 4 divisions; commercial residential, CR zone, 2 divisions; factory industrial, F1 zone, 4 divisions. In the ICC zoning ordinance, we have land use codes listed. These are all typical of most jurisdictions, but everybody kind of tweaks them to their own needs. A zones typically are agricultural in nature. Division 1, Division 2, Division 3. Division 1 being any designated open space, 2 is any agricultural space, and 3 is any public parkland or similar recreational area. All these different zones come into play during the zoning ordinance review process. Residential zones in the International Zoning Code are divided into 3 divisions. Division 1 is any one-family dwelling, public government building, libraries, schools, etc. Division 2 is any use permitted in the R1 area and 2-family dwellings. Division 3 is any use permitted in Zone R2 and multifamily dwellings, apartment houses, and condominiums. Referring to our previous comment, the ICC exams will rely heavily upon this text and the table below for use area and setback. We recommend you becoming familiar with these tables. An example of an ICC question would be along the lines of, in which division would a 2-family dwelling be permitted? And that would of course be Division 2, as you can see from the text. Another good example would be, what would be the minimum lot width for a Division 2 property? And you will see, if you go to the tables, then the lot dimensions and carry over to 2, both A and B are going to tell you that the minimum lot width is 60 feet. This is typical of the type questions you will see on an ICC exam. As we mentioned in the previous slide, if we go to the tables in the residential zone section, we can use the example of a 2-family dwelling, which would be Division 2. The question concerned lot dimensions. What was the minimum width? Lot dimensions for A or B, regardless, are going to be minimum lot width is going to be 60 feet, as we see here. If you'll notice, maximum building height for every division is 35 feet. We have a footnote. Always check footnotes. Footnote concerns accessory towers, satellite dishes, and similar structures shall be permitted to exceed the maximum height where approved by the code official. It's always well to make note of these tables and the footnotes. This will likely be an ICC exam question. Remember that new annexed areas are automatically Zone R, Division 1, unless there is an assignment in the annexation legal description adopted by the local legislature. The code states any territory hereafter annexed shall automatically, upon such annexation, be classified as R, Division 1A, residential district, and be subject to all conditions and regulations applicable to property in such districts. We will be proceeding quickly through the next several slides. Please have your International Zoning Code book open at each land use zone referenced and take a moment to review the applicable tables. Again, the text and the tables are heavily referenced in the ICC exams. Commercial and commercial residential zones. Division 2 includes such uses as those for group care facilities, physical fitness centers, religious, cultural, and fraternal activities, rehabilitation centers, and schools and colleges operated for profit. Please take a moment to note in the table in the Commercial and Commercial Residential Zones section of your International Zoning Code book that only Division 1 has minimum lot area and maximum density requirements. These sections are not applicable for Division 2, 3, and 4. Again, taking a few moments to become familiar with the tables will greatly help you as you take your ICC exams. One item to note in the Division 4 category is that we have a distinction between major automotive repair, which is required in Division 4, whereas in Division 1, you're allowed minor automotive care. This may be a test question. CR zones, as the name would imply, is the zone where residential uses are permitted. In factory industrial zones, there are no minimum lot area or maximum density requirements for any of the 3 divisions listed. With the exception of accessory towers, satellite dishes, and similar structures, the maximum building height in an F1 division is 60 feet. Quarries are listed in Division 3 of the factory industrial zones. This may be something you need to highlight. The General Provisions section of the International Zoning Code is another chapter we recommend you become very familiar with prior to taking an ICC exam. Off-street parking width shall be a minimum of 9 feet with a few exceptions, length 20 feet. And there are screening requirements for off-street parking when you have 5 or more parking spaces. Additionally, it should be noted that accessible parking spaces and passenger loading zones shall be provided in accordance with the building code. Passenger loading zones shall be designed and constructed in accordance with ICC's A117.1. Using the off-street parking schedule table in the General Provisions chapter of your International Zoning book, let's do the following exercise together. Let's say we have an office building. This office building's outer dimensions are 50 feet by 65 feet for a total of 3,250 square feet gross area. Again, this is an office building. This office building must have parking, off-street parking, at 1 per 300 gross square feet. So we're going to take our 3250 dimension, we're going to divide by 300 so we can find out how many parking spaces we need to be. When we do our math, we're going to come up with a number of 10.833. Now in the text immediately above the parking schedule table, we read that any fractional parking space shall be computed as a whole space. We're not going to have a 0.83 space. So therefore, how many spaces are required for our building? This office building is going to require 11 off-street parking spaces. Accessory buildings shall occupy the same lot as the main use or building. They shall be separated from the main building by 10 feet. They shall be permitted in rear or side yards provided setbacks are maintained and cannot encroach on any recorded easement. They shall be permitted in any portion of the rear or side yards, cannot be located in the front yard. Allowable projections into yards. Eaves, cornices, and other similar architectural features no more than 12 inches. Chimneys can project no more than 2 feet, provided the width of the side yard is not reduced to less than 30 inches. Front yards, this is the key for most exams. Open, unenclosed, and uncovered ramps, porches, platforms, or landings can extend no more than 6 feet into the required front yard, provided such porch does not extend above the first level and no more than 6 feet above grade at any point. Rear yard stipulations include windows can project into a required rear yard no more than 6 feet. There is an entire chapter dedicated to special regulations specific to home occupations and adult uses. Home occupation shall be permitted in all zones, provided the home occupation is clearly and obviously subordinate to the main use or dwelling unit for a residential purpose. Home occupation shall be conducted wholly within the primary structure on the premises. Certain conditions apply. The home occupation shall not exceed 15% of the floor area of the primary structure. Other than those related by blood, marriage, or adoption, not more than one person shall be employed in the home occupation. Inventory and supplies shall not occupy more than 50% of the area permitted to be used as a home occupation. As you recall, home occupation shall not exceed 15% of the floor area. There shall be no exterior display or storage of goods on the premises. Home occupations involving beauty shops or barber shops shall require a conditional use permit. Sales and services to patrons shall be arranged by appointment and scheduled so that not more than one patron vehicle is on the premises at the same time. 2 additional parking spaces shall be provided on the premises, except only one need be provided if the home occupation does not have an employee. A conditional use permit shall be obtained for all adult use businesses. No adult use business shall be located within 1,000 feet of a park, school, daycare center, library, or religious or cultural activity. No adult use business shall be located within 500 feet of any other adult use business or any agricultural or residential zone boundary. Such distances shall be measured in a straight line without regard to intervening structures, topography, and zoning. Said businesses shall be located in F1 zones and shall not be permitted as home occupation. The purpose of the sign regulations chapter is to protect the safe and orderly development of the community through regulation of signs and sign structures. Signs exempt from the provisions of this chapter shall include the following: official notices authorized by a court, public body, or public safety official; directional, warning, or information signs authorized by federal, state, or municipal governments; memorial plaques, building identification signs, and building cornerstones were cut or carved into a masonry surface or were made of non-combustible material and made an integral part of the building or the structure; the flag of a government or non-commercial institution, such as a school; religious symbols and seasonal decorations within the appropriate public holiday season; works of fine art displayed in conjunction with a commercial enterprise where the enterprise does not receive direct commercial gain; street address signs and combination nameplate and street address signs that contain no advertising copy and which do not exceed 6 square feet in area. Signs prohibited by this ordinance include signs that obstruct a traffic signal or a sign or block a driver's view; signs in a right-of-way or on utility or light poles; signs which blink, flash, or animate; portable signs except permitted temporary signs; signs attached to vehicles or trailers. There are special exceptions that need to be reviewed; balloons, streamers, pinwheels, except permitted temporary uses. For the purpose of the subsection in this section of the ordinance, temporarily means not more than 20 days in a calendar year. Unless exempted, a permit must be obtained from the code official for the erection and maintenance of all signs erected or maintained. Non-conforming structures and uses. Except as otherwise required by law, a structure or use legally established prior to the adoption date of this code may be maintained unchanged. Any lot or structure or portion thereof occupied by non-conforming use, which is or hereafter becomes vacant and remains unoccupied by a non-conforming use for a period of 6 months, shall not thereafter be occupied except by a use that conforms to this code. If any non-conforming structure or use is, by any cause, damaged to the extent of 50% of its value as determined by the code official, It shall not thereafter be reconstructed as such. Maintenance, repairs, and structural alterations shall be permitted to be made to nonconforming structures or to a building housing a nonconforming use with valid permits. Prior to the approval, amending, or denial of a conditional use permit, a public hearing shall be held. Upon completion of said public hearing, the Commission or examiner shall render a decision within the time limit required by law. A conditional use permit shall be considered exercised when the use has been established or when a building permit has been issued and substantial construction accomplished. When such permit is abandoned or discontinued for a period of 1 year, it shall not be reestablished unless authorized by the Planning Commission, hearing examiner, or legislative body on appeal. A conditional use permit shall be revoked where the applicant fails to comply with conditions imposed by a hearing examiner. A planned unit development, or PUD, is a specialized type of subdivision that describes a large-scale real estate development project. Planned unit developments shall be allowed by Planning Commission approval in any zoning district. No planned unit development shall have an area less than that approved by the Planning Commission as adequate for the proposed development. Density of land use shall in no case be more than 15% higher than allowed in the zoning district. Initial startup of the project shall occur within 1 year of approval by the Planning Commission. Project shall be completed within 4 years of the startup date unless otherwise exempted. Okay, we went through this introduction pretty quick. The next video is going to be a little more lengthy. We encourage you to go through each one. None of them take too long, and they cover quite a lot of information, and I think it's going to be very helpful to you. If you have any questions or comments, please submit those either in the comment section here or to my personal email as listed below that you see. We ask that you please support and like this work, and we rely solely upon you. And if you have any other information or that you want to share, we would appreciate you doing that. So let's continue, and we'll move on to the next video here in just a moment. Okay, you've done a good job. You've been all the way through this session. There's still a few more to go. If this is not the last one, and I'd appreciate it if you would like, share, and subscribe to this page. This is how we're able to provide this free of charge to folks. So we wish you the very best. And if there's anything we can do for you, please contact me at the link you're going to find, or not the link, but the email address you're going to find in the description. We ask you, again, like and subscribe, and maybe buy me a cup of coffee. Thank you.